I'm Maddie, and this is Let's Get Trashy. This week we're getting trashy about burnout. Because guess what, guys? I did it again. I pushed myself to the farthest of the far on burnout. And the worst thing I think about being burnt out is that for one, you don't know you're burnt out really until you're there, right? Until you've reached burnout and you're frustrated with everything. Little things are setting you off. You get into this depressive state where it's what's the point? What's the point of continuing on? What's the point of doing anything if you're just going to continue to be burnt out? There's just no point in continuing on. And so, I've started juggling quite a bit in these last few months. I started my student teaching so I could finish my college degree, which is awesome, but also it's literally working full-time without any pay, but all the problems of working full-time. And it's a blessing. I'm not complaining. I'm really grateful that I'm almost done and that I got to do this and that I had this opportunity. But it has been hard. I think so often you forget that you can be grateful, but also realize it's hard and it's stressful and it's a lot to handle and carry. And I went to work and am currently working. I feel guilty to walk away and need a minute. And I took this weekend for myself, but I felt so guilty the whole time of I don't ever get to see my kids, and now I need time for myself. So it's another selfish moment of I don't get to see them. But then you kind of have to realize these selfish moments are what make you better. Because if you sat there and you didn't give yourself this moment, I hadn't, you begin to get agitated, you're touched out, you're overstimulated, and it's just everything, it literally feels like the walls are caving in and collapsing on you. And so then I didn't really say that I needed this break, but I think my husband Alex could tell that I needed this break. And I told him what my plans were for the weekend, and he was well, just go get ready and go do them. And I was well, I wanted to take the kids, and he was they're fine. Keep them with me. I got it. And then the guilt set in because it was well, technically I had told Chloe she could come with me already because it's Alex's birthday. So then I had to change the plans and explain to her that, it's not her fault because she's very emotional, which I love. She feels everything so heavy and it's amazing. But also at the same time, I have to explain to her, no, hun, the reason I'm taking a moment away and stepping away is because mom needs space. And then you have to explain to them, when you ask for space, mom also needs space. And then it doesn't mean that I love you any less, because then Chloe's I'm sorry I did something wrong. And it's you didn't do anything wrong. You are perfectly you in every sense of the word, but mommy needs a minute. And then I feel guilty because mom needs a minute. So it's just this whole spiral of, overwhelmedness. But yeah, I got to take this time away. I hadn't taken time away for months. I think I said 2 months, probably a little bit more. And then I'm overwhelmed because I'm student teaching, so I'm actively learning how to be a teacher. And it's that's hard. You sit in a classroom with so many kids a day, and you have to figure out all their little quirks and how they run and what's the best way to teach them, that you just, it's another way to lose yourself. You're in there for 8 hours focused on them. Then you go home and it's I need a minute to myself. And it's really hard to take that minute to myself because, like I said, I'm a mom. So I come home and I feel guilty because for the last 5 years, I've spent every single day with my children all day long. And now the only time I get is, 5 till bedtime, 5 to 8. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Bedtime is 8, 9, 10. They stay up with us. I don't have this set routine, which is probably part of the problem. But I don't know. I think my kids and I need that time together sometimes where it's we're all tired, we're going to bed at 8, or we're all wide awake and we want to stay up till 10 hanging out with each other. So, yeah. I did it to myself again. I let myself get burnt out. And the reason I say again, because I know I've said I did it again, is because when I started this podcast and I started social media and I started reaching out to this, it was my little escape. It was my way to be a person for a few minutes a day, take a step back and be me, talk about things I've gone through, and also start my healing journey and start helping others on theirs. And, you know, before I got to this, I had reached burnout in itself of like, I was overwhelmed and touched out and yelling all the time, and then this came around and I was like, you know what, this is what I wanted to do, because there were so many, I think it took 3 years for me to actually start this and do this, and it's not like I'm even consistent, so I can't say like consistently, but it took 3 years for me to get to doing this, and like it really helped a lot, because for a few minutes a day, because that's how long it takes to make like a reel or a TikTok, I was getting to just be me and goofy and fun, and then, you know, an hour a week I was getting to come in here and laugh. Originally it was with someone, now it's just with Bonesy, which you're great to hang out with, no offense, you're great. You don't ever look at the camera, but it's fine, your head doesn't turn well. But yeah, I reached burnt out again. This time I will say I knew I was there. Like the last time, or the first time I hit burnout, and I was overwhelmed and overstimulated and yelling all the time, I didn't understand why. Like, I knew that I had not taken time for myself, but I didn't have a word for what was going on inside. And then, you know, I started researching, and I found one of the best ways to avoid it is to do something for yourself. Ta-da! This is the thing for myself. But, you know, I didn't have a word for it. I didn't know how to stop it. I didn't know, you know, I would go take time for myself, but the whole time I was gone, I would feel guilty, so then I would rush back, and it was like, that wasn't helpful, you know, to rush back was the same as not taking time for myself. And I think over the years, my daughter's about to be 5, I've learned that it's okay to go by yourself for hours. Like, it's okay to disappear for a few hours and not feel guilty. Because you so often as a parent can forget that you're a person too. But then on top of that, I wasn't even a decent person before I became a parent. Like, I was very much unhealthy coping skills. I had bad habits, you know, I didn't communicate well. And then I had my children, and I was like, well, I can't do, you know, A and B anymore. I can't have these bad habits and be unhealthy and like make, you know, poor decisions, because now there's little people watching me. And so then I got rid of, you know, bad coping skills are still coping skills. So I had gotten rid of the bad coping skills, and I had nothing other than being a mom and being overwhelmed 24/7, to the point where it was just like, there was no person to refer back to on how do I be a person, because I had not been a person. So I was in this stage of like motherhood, needing to find myself, overwhelmed, burnt out, too much on my plate, still trying to make it look like I'm happy, still trying to make it look like I'm very much under control and I have everything done, that it just like imploded. And it like, yeah. And so then I started therapy and, you know, reading more books to figure out what the hell was going on, why I was feeling the way that I was feeling. And come to find out, it was good old-fashioned burnout. Like, I burnt myself out. I had lit the candle at both ends and was like, here we go, ready for the ride, nothing bad will happen. And then when I finally ran out of wax, I was like, oh shit. So this time I'll say I did know, like, oh, I'm reaching burnout. Oh, I know how to help this. Like, I went and I took time for myself. Even though I felt guilty for going and doing so, I still did it. And I still felt better afterwards. It's just been a rough few weeks. I mean, with burnout, you get wonderful depression, and I already have anxiety. And like, anxiety and depression together is like a fucking wild ride. Because anxiety is like, you're not doing anything, you're gonna fucking fail, everybody knows you're not doing anything, you're not succeeding, this is the end, this is it, you know? And then depression's like, I don't want to do anything. So it's very like a heavy, hard trip to have both. And then, you know, on top of all of it, you know, I don't get to just like go lay in bed and like sulk as much as you want to. Like, I had to get up and do things, and because of that, a lot of things suffered. Like, this last weekend, I've had to pick up the pieces from these last few weeks of just like not having any motivation to do anything, which is so like rewarding in itself to put yourself back on track of like, okay, so I cleaned up all of my stuff and my room is clean and I even dusted and the laundry's going and the kids' room is clean, even though if they slept in there I'm sure it would be dirty, but they sleep in my room still, so their room isn't dirty. I cleaned up their room and I cleaned up the basement, the downstairs, the living room, the playroom, which isn't that dirty, but there are things that had not been put away the way that I would typically put them away, because it was one of those things where I was like, out of sight, out of mind. I don't care if it's put away the way it's supposed to. So I finally was able to reorganize things. There's still a closet I need to work on. But I've needed, like, to be fair, at the very least, I have needed to work on this closet before burnout. Like, this is a closet that's been one of those things where it's like, I don't want to do this because this is going to be hard and not fun and I don't want to, so I'm just not going to. So it's just like progressively gotten worse because I'm like, It doesn't help, like it's a coat closet, but then it has like a Harry Potter closet underneath it, and you can just kind of throw things into the Harry Potter closet. Or like it has all our decorations, and with Halloween we just pulled the stuff out and didn't reorganize it, and then yeah, so it's just gone to shit. Like, it's pretty messy. Welcome to my life. I've had to like catch myself up on 2 weeks worth of laundry, which is nuts. That I even had enough clothes to survive. My kids had enough clothes. Alex had enough clothes. I was wearing those like shirts. Like, I don't know if you guys have shirts in your closet that you're like, it's not my favorite. I'm not gonna pick it first, but I guess I'll wear it. I was wearing those clothes. Not a problem with it. I'm very thankful I get to have those clothes, and I'm in a position where I can have clothes where I'm like, I'm gonna keep this, but I don't like it. And so now I'm catching myself up on laundry, which is a whole other thing. Okay, I wouldn't have gotten so far behind if my dryer was like functioning, but it doesn't turn off. Like, it just keeps going at the highest heat, and it doesn't like cycle through and turn itself off. So like I have to keep an eye on it and make sure that it's like not catching on fire and my clothes are dry and that it hasn't gone for too long. And so I can't start a load of laundry and then put it in the dryer and then like go to work and like it'll be done when I get home. So that's clearly the only reason I'm behind on laundry, like in total. But yeah, like this last few weeks I've just gotten behind on everything, and so catching myself up felt really good and really nice. But then it comes back to like, well, how do I not experience this again? How do I keep up with where I'm at? And it's like, the only way to do that is to continuously give time for myself. So I sat down and I wrote out the ways that I'm going to give time for myself. I am going to start waking up a little bit earlier, so that way I can take those few extra minutes before I have to get up and get ready and rush out the door with me and my children for, whatever reason, for work, or like because Chloe goes to school, so I have to rush out with her, and just I have to get up and I'm in a rush and I'm in a hurry. And so I am going to get up earlier so I can take a few minutes for myself to I can wake up. And I chose that I want to meditate in the morning. I have been trying to set this goal of like, I'm going to get up and work out for months. And I'm just realizing I'm not a morning workout person, so like I'm not even going to set myself up for that. Like, I'm going to set myself up for success in this and say that I'm going to get up 20 minutes early so I can do a 10-minute meditation. You know what I mean? Because if I do a 10-minute meditation, that's 10 minutes where I was in my mind with no other thoughts going on. I was able to prepare myself into my brain and be mindful of what is processing, what is going on. And I think that'll be really beneficial for me to start my day. Another step that I'm going to take to avoid this is I get off early on Wednesdays. So those Wednesdays, I'm going to take an hour for myself, because typically I would be at work until 5 anyways. So I'm going to take an extra hour for myself and do what I would like to do, whether it's record this or, because I've been super consistent for months. So like, obviously, I don't need to make any extra time for it. No, but like making extra time and, doing something that I enjoy. Maybe it's one day it's just literally just scrolling on my phone because I need to decompress, or watching my favorite show, or reading my favorite book. But like taking an hour on Wednesdays, a day that I've set aside for myself, and make no excuses for not take this hour. I think that's another big thing that I have to realize I do a lot, and be aware of is that, like, I do make excuses. Oh, I'm not going to do this today, but I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I don't feel like it. I'm tired. Oh, I don't want to get up because whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm not doing this. And I make excuse after excuse, and then here I am, 3 months in, I've made excuse after excuse for why not to spend time with myself, why not to do something, and I'm burnt out, and I'm tired, and I'm exhausted, and overwhelmed with the thought of doing anything. So, yeah, I've decided that this time with the burnout, I have found out what it was. I knew what it was. I knew it was coming. I knew it was happening. I knew it was going on. But not only did it just stop there and take that short time for myself, I figured out a plan to continuously make time. So if you've reached burnout or you are experiencing these same symptoms of like overwhelmed and overstimulated and touched out, because I know moms so often feel that of like, just get off of me, because for whatever reason, my kids think that I have red handles and I am freaking monkey bars and jungle gyms. But you get overstimulated, you get touched out, and you just like can't, won't, don't want to do anything anymore. I think it's really important that you recognize why. Maybe you've been way too busy and you haven't set time aside from yourself. And then not only just setting that time aside for yourself, but doing it consistently. And I'm not just saying this to you, I am also saying this to me because we're on this journey together. Doing this consistently so that you don't have to feel these overwhelming emotions again. Because life is a roller coaster, and I know you probably will. At least the next time you'll be able to recognize it, and you'll know why you are feeling that way, and maybe you'll have more steps to do so. And maybe your time alone for yourself isn't one day where you can get an hour or so. But maybe it is, your kids fell asleep for naps, so now you're getting 30 more extra minutes. Or maybe it's simply that car ride on your way home and you take an extra lap around the neighborhood to listen to your favorite song. Like, it's taking those little moments for yourself to remind you that you're a person. So, I hope that my overwhelmed, burnt out story has helped you not feel alone in your burnout, not feel alone in your depression, not feel alone in your anxiety, which, to be totally honest with you, depression is fucking wild because you can feel such a sense of sadness. And I know depression is different for everyone, but you still have to, do shit. That's what's so overwhelming is, you could literally want to just lay in bed, but, you still have to get up and do things. And it just sucks, and it's overwhelming. But I would say get up, do those things, and make yourself feel better. Because honestly, nobody is coming to save you. God, I wish someone would come and save me, but nobody is coming, and you have to save yourself. And I hope that some of these tips help you with that and help you get out of that state. Take that time for yourself. Go sit outside at the very least for 5 minutes and just people watch your neighborhood. Sit outside and enjoy that fresh air and the sunlight, because I know seasonal depression is coming up where there's not going to be a lot of sunlight, you're going to be stuck inside, but taking those 5 minutes to just breathe in and breathe out and remember that you're okay and that you're a person. Well, hopefully that helped you guys. Hopefully I stay on track. I'll keep you updated if I don't. Probably make a part 3 of me being burnt out, or part 2 of being burnt out. Part 1 would really just be the start of this podcast. Why did she start it? She was burnt out and needed help on her healing journey and knew she wasn't alone. I love you guys. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope these tips help you. And like I said, I hope to be more consistent, but clearly I've said that I think every single podcast and it hasn't worked out. Hopefully this one's different. Love you guys. Bye.